Hi guys, so after you've watched today's video, then I implore you to check out Fight the Flat Earth's video, his new one on Sleeping Warrior, who he is currently championing for Dumb Person of the Year. Go and check it out, I'll leave the link in the description. Cheers.
D-Marble was the very first flat earther I took on in my very first video.
I thought I'd start with something that's been getting a lot of traction recently, flat earthers. So I came across this flat earth guy on YouTube called D-Marble. He could be well known, I'm not sure, but I also don't care.
Ooh, cringe. Anyway, I've revisited him twice since then as kind of a way to acknowledge that this is where it all began. Well, almost 2 years to the day to the creation of this channel, we are going back to D-Marble in an almost debunking pilgrimage, if you will, to show that he is wrong all over again. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Yes, D-Marble fancies himself as one of the major Flat Earth proponents, so what better way to spend your Friday morning / afternoon / evening than knocking back one of Flat Earth's best. We're going to join D as he sits down to take a look at the new proposed space hotel, something he has patently realised will shred his world apart when opened.
All right, so let's get into the most recent installment in the long line of space propaganda put out to continue to perpetuate people's space fantasies.
But this is not propaganda, D-Marble. This will happen one day, whether you like it or not.
Here's an article from Cairo 7, it's a local publication here in Washington. It says first space hotel is set to open in 2025 with cruise ship Disney World amenities. This came out September 17th, 2019. And here's a picture of what, kind of a design of what they're thinking about putting out there. The first hotel in orbit above the Earth is set to open in just over 6 years, according to the ambitious plans of the company anticipating the world's first space tourists. Now, let's pause it right there for a little bit. The first hotel in orbit above the Earth. Now, why would they use the term above?
Because the space hotel will be above Earth's surface, in space.
This denotes that there's a surface, Earth, and then there's something over it. That would be this space station. So there's one surface and then something above that surface. But that would mean something like, you know what, never mind. This is where people would say relativity, because according to the globe model, relativity is was presented whenever this line of questioning comes up by critical thinking individuals in order to keep them thinking that there's no up or down in space, therefore there's no up or down actually on Earth. So the idea of people living upside down on a spinning ball is normalized.
And this is where we find ourselves 99.99999% of the time. This has got nothing to do with relativity. D-Marble is confused as to what relativity is. How can you, critically thinking individuals, which I assume you class yourself as one, be taken seriously regarding your worldviews if you don't even understand the nature of physics? It is an absolute joke.
Got it. So, yeah, let's continue anyway. The Gateway Foundation unveiled the designs for a rotating space station that will produce differing levels of artificial gravity and will accommodate up to 100 tourists a week when it opens in 2025, according to news reports. Artificial gravity?
Yes, D. Artificial gravity. What's the problem with that?
Okay. So as far as we can tell, nobody really knows where gravity comes from in the first place. So these folks are now claiming that they've pioneered technology that can create artificial gravity, and that will be instituted on this space hotel that's going to be available for commercial visitation in the next 6 years?
First off, we do know where gravity comes from. And secondly, no one has said that this company is pioneering any technology. Does it say that in the article? No. No, it doesn't.
Okay, so question here. So they have the technology to replicate gravity in space.
Not much technology is required, to be honest, for this anyway. You see, the space hotel is designed in a giant circle like you see here for a reason. Now, the gravity we feel here on Earth comes in the form of an acceleration, 9.81 meters per second squared. We can replicate that acceleration in a spinning spacecraft with centripetal force. This is the equation we would require. The linear acceleration you'd feel on the space station would depend on the angular velocity, or how fast it spins, and the radius. You can manipulate that acceleration by doing two things. Make the circle bigger, or make it spin faster. So that means you can match the acceleration we feel here on Earth quite well with that method.
You mean like on Dragon Ball Z, to create varying degrees of gravity to keep, but that's a cartoon, and that's kind of the theme behind this whole space thing. Okay, so they have the technology to replicate gravity in space. When did they come up with this technology?
It's not technology, it's physics.
And why won't they replicate this technology, or better yet, retrofit the International Space Station with that technology? Because personally, I'd imagine that crew of a handful of astronauts would have a much easier time with a little bit of gravity out there to do their maintenance of that football field sized space station that's zipping around the Earth at 17,000 miles per hour.
Because it's bloody expensive and NASA has a small budget. Only 0.49% of the $4.4 trillion that the US is spending this year.
You know, I think that would make things a little bit easier. That's just me. If they can replicate gravity, if they can create artificial gravity, they probably should put that on the ISS, because that small crew, they have a hard time getting around as it is. But hey.
Just like you have a hard time getting your head around physics.
I don't know, maybe $56 million a day isn't enough money for those types of operations.
It's not.
Then, you know, people would still be asking for video of that type of stuff. But, you know, NASA has a hard time. I mean, they might have video, but they probably lost it somewhere along the line. Anyway, let's move on here. Got a tweet from CNN. U.S. company has released designs for a cruise ship style space hotel with a rotating wheel that would create simulated gravity.
So this article has now given him a clue as how this is created. Let's see if D Marble picks up on that.
Simulated gravity. Okay.
Nope.
Named the von Braun space station after rocket technology pioneer Wernher von Braun, Gateway said on its website that it's working with the national space agencies to research low gravity while assembling the station, and also providing space tourists who want to experience life on a large space station with the comfort of low gravity and the feel of a nice hotel. And that was a quote from them. Okay, so let's slow this down a little bit. So they're going to name this after Wernher von Braun. Okay, rocket technology pioneer Wernher von Braun. And here he is right here. Wernher von Braun.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the Nazi spiel.
German scientist. Not just a German scientist, a Nazi scientist.
I kid you not, I wrote that last line before watching the next part of the video. So predictable.
Not just a Nazi scientist, but a Nazi scientist that was brought over by the U.S. during Project Paperclip after World War II, where they brought over a lot of German scientists, gave them new identities and jobs within the government. So NASA was founded and run by Nazis.
Seriously, can you not research anything? Von Braun was a Nazi and then became a US citizen. Here is the Creaky Blinder with a 1-minute rundown on Wernher von Braun.
Wernher von Braun was a German engineer who played a major role in rocketry and space exploration, first in Germany, but after the Second World War in America. Excuse me, I don't know what happened there. After moving to Huntsville, Alabama in 1952, Braun became technical director and later chief of the US Army Ballistic Weapons Program. After the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, was formed, Braun and his team were transferred there from the US Army. As director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Braun led the development of the Saturn space launch vehicles. And in 1970, he was transferred to NASA's headquarters in Washington, D.C. in an attempt to justify his involvement in the development of the German V2 rocket. Braun stated that patriotic motives had outweighed whatever qualms he had about the moral implications of the nation's policies under Hitler. Sorry, Dan, I don't know why that keeps happening. Back to you.
Now that is the real truth concerning him. Let's move on.
Let me see. With the National Space Agency to research how low gravity while assembling the station. So they're going to be putting this thing together in the next 6 years in low Earth orbit is what they're telling you. That's what's going on here. Hopefully we get video of that, because we sure as heck don't have any video of the ISS being constructed.
So I guess this video of the Space Shuttle Endeavour taking up the Unity node and attaching it to the Russian one is fake, is it?
So, other questions like, at what point during construction, before or after, did it get up to 17,000 miles per hour?
Before.
Is it possible that we can see one of these mini rockets that take off these payload specialists and these different crew members from these different companies going in these rockets up to the ISS? Can we see one of these capsules actually docking with the ISS? I think that would be something that would be pretty interesting for everybody to see, but I don't think we have any video of that either. Almost as if there's just some huge charade and none of this stuff is even real, but...
You ask, you get. Here is the Soyuz MS-12 mission taking off. And here it is docking this year, in glorious 8K as well. And just in case you're in any doubt, D-Marble, here is a beautiful video of the Soyuz MS-10 launching as seen from the International Space Station.
That couldn't possibly be it. Anyway, using technology for the construction of the International Space Station, which we have yet to see, the Von Braun station will consist of 2 concentric structural rings connected together by spokes that will support a so-called habitation ring of large pressurized modules, Gateway officials said. Because you can't have these pressurized modules next to the vacuum of space. That would be a serious problem. Like how Earth is this pressurized system, which also happens to be next to the infinite vacuum of space.
Seriously, done this one so many times now, it's not even funny. Atmosphere has a gradient, get over it. D-Marble rambles on a bit more about the hotel and how it works before coming up with an idea.
I have a question. Not a question, a suggestion. Hey, if we want to end this whole flat earth versus globe thing expeditiously, then why not have one of these high profile globe believers start a GoFundMe, collect the money to go take a tour of the ISS and bring back definitive proof that it's actually legit. How about that happen?
Okay, I would absolutely do this, but there is one problem here, isn't there, D-Marble? And you know it. Whatever proof I brought back, you would cry fake. Even if I filmed the entirety of the mission from the launch to docking at the ISS, you would say it was CGI. D-Marble spends the rest of his video in a personal incredulity rant fest, so we better leave him to that and end the video today. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed it today, then please do like and subscribe. It'd be very much appreciated. I have been Simon Dan, as ever. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all on Tuesday, where we take apart Jeranism's
Interesting.
latest. See you then.